Welcome from all around the world. Today, we are going to be witnessing the very first reality show in the testing space. Isn't that interesting and fun? Synapse QA is proudly presenting our very first reality show, the Super Voice 2022. I know that everyone is excited about Super Voice as this is the very first reality show in the testing community, but the excitement is doubled when it comes from Synapse QA. Synapse QA always comes up with different and challenging events that makes a global impact. Talking about Synapse QA, Synapse QA started their journey 2 years back with the name to find lost voices in the community and bring them into the limelight by bridging the gaps for the knowns and the unknowns. After doing several global events with our own signature flavors, this time we are bringing something to encourage in testers to take up public speaking. We believe that Super Voice will help us reach closer to our mission to make testers believe in themselves. When the event was announced, Synapse QA got quite an overwhelming response from the testing community, out of which they needed to handpick 9 contestants only for the show, and they'll be going through various rounds to reach the grand finale. So as we lift off the curtains for Super Voice, we're thankful to our followers and well-wishers. Once again, I welcome you to experience the biggest event of the year, Super Voice 2022. So let's start with welcoming our awesome judges who are the pillars to Super Voice. But before I welcome the judges, a very, very big shout out to Nithin for organizing all of this. So now I would like to welcome the judges, Ajay. Ajay goes by the handle of Ajay 184F in the testing community and is continuously reinventing his testing methodology. I would also like to invite Lalit, who has over 14 years of experience, and Lalit is working as a test engineering quality leader, and Lena, who has been building software since 1999. After a decade of coding, she found her heart within testing, and nowadays she's focusing on building organizations and growing people rather than the software itself. So welcome, judges. How are you today? So may I start with Lena? How are you feeling being part of the Super Voice 2022?
I'm so excited. I'm strangely nervous since this is the first time I'm doing something like this, but I'm really looking forward to this. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Lena. Lalit, how are you feeling?
I feel this big chair I bought the other day finally has found its purpose. Basically, it makes me very happy to be here, and I'm very excited to see how this whole program goes.
Awesome, thank you. And Ajay, how are you feeling?
Good, first of its kind show. So super excited, and all the best for everyone.
Thank you very much. So without further ado, let's invite our first speaker. So we have Jency, who is a senior QA engineer. Hi, Jency. So I'll just be doing a little intro and then the stage is yours. So as I just mentioned, Jency is a senior QA engineer. She has been in the testing world for 9 years. Her hobby is spending time and exploring concepts and interesting facts about software testing. She blogs, she participates in tech communities, is a certified mentor and a community contributor, sometimes also on YouTube. So thank you so much, Jency, and the stage is now over to you.
Thank you so much, Laveena. Um, Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction, Laveena, once again. So, without further delay, let's jump into the presentation for today. So, the topic that I have for today is 5 traits of a software tester. I would like to start my presentation with a good quote. If you want different results, you need to be willing to do things differently and different things. So let's see what are different things I have in my bucket for you all today. Before we navigate into the content for the topic for today, although Laveena gave a very good introduction about me, I would like to introduce myself as well now. I'm Jency Stella. You can call me Jency. I'm currently working with Millennium IT Services as Senior QA Engineer. Some personal facts about me: I'm a mom of a 4-year-old superhero. I hold ISTQB, CTFL, and CTAE certification. I have an interest in writing articles. That's where I wear a hat of a blogger. I'm a certified mentor in Mentoring Club. In recent times, basically during this pandemic space, I have started contributing to communities, specifically testing communities. So that's a short intro about me from my side. So to the core content for today's topic. Growing up as testers in the software industries, that sometimes we might get random thoughts or random questions like, although we are into this industry quite a long of time, how can I effectively test my software? I am communicating with my people day in and out, but at some times I feel there seems to be a lag. I like my job, but still I feel that I'm not moving to the next level. So these topics were the questions that I personally had experienced. And in duo of my experience, I mean, this 9 years of my software journey and interacting with multiple people, stay in and out, reading some good articles, and analyzing my success and failures, I have jotted down 5 different attributes, or rather, I would say 5 different traits that paves the path to become a strong tester. So I'm here to share these 5 traits today. So let's start one by one. The first trait that I have is inverted and intuitive thinking. I would like to break this topic in 2 areas, that is, inverted thinking and intuitive thinking. Inverted thinking is a very powerful tool, I would say, to relook into a problem upside down. Rather than asking someone, like, what makes you feel happy, you can just put it in a term: what can you avoid, or what can you do, or what can you avoid the things that makes you unhappy. Similar aspect, we can relate it to software testing. I remember one a very good advice that was shared to me by one of my test lead in my early days of testing journey, that what he meant was like, when you sit to test a software, just think that this particular software is loaded with bugs. Only then you can uncover the bugs that are tied up in your system. At that point of time, I did not realize what he meant to, but gradually, traveling in the software testing journey, like, I uncovered or I discovered, yes, he was right. When we accept a software just as it is, to understand that whether it is working as expected as possible, yes, of course it will work as possible with certain defects that you can uncover in it. But what about the critical defect that is hidden inside the system? That can be like uncovered only if you have this inverted thinking. When you test a software, just assume that the software will not work. Just think or just assume that somebody is, scamming you by providing or saying that this or passing off the software as it is working. Try to make the software prove that you are wrong. That's about inverted thinking, intuitive thinking. Testing, at times people think that it's very straightforward and it's just a set of activities like it's just about validating the acceptance criteria in a user story, creating test cases, executing them, and just reporting the bugs, or reporting the results in a test report. It's not about that. Testing is basically, personally, I would feel it's a non-linear, unpredictable activity. According to me, I would like to more stress here on testing is often, I would term it as an exploratory feature or exploratory activity that we need to do. A tester can be a good tester only when he has this nature of intuitive and exploratory aspect combined together. What I mean here is like the mindset to actually think in real time. That's what is expected in intuitive thinking. My next trait that I would like to highlight is about recognition of human nature. Here, I would like to introduce you all with two characters that we all will be interacting day in and out. My first character is the person who develops the software for us, and my second character is the person who will be handling the software towards the end. When we test a particular software, we just need not think that it's a software. Ideally, foremost, we need to train our mind that this particular software has gone through a long process wherein multiple bunch of people had collaborated to build this bigger software product for us to test. Defects don't jump up in all of a sudden. Humans are not like robots. You cannot train them. We do mistakes. We get bored. We get frustrated. At times, we get lost. So, being a developer or being a development team, having all these constraints to develop a software or develop a piece of code for a specific company, having all these constraints surrounded by him, at times the developing a software becomes lower priority. So, when we sit to test that particular software, we have to rather recognize or understand the nature of the human machine who created the software for us. My next character is about end user. You have to wear the shoes of the end user and travel a mile. What I mean is here, try to correlate this particular application or the software that you're right now testing. Try to think that, let's say, how your grandmother is like, interacting with the application. How will she interact with that application? If you're giving it to your maid, how will he or she interact with that application? If you're giving it to your sibling, who is technically very strong, how would he handle that particular application? It's about only understanding or relating these terms, you will know the real need of an user. So here we are recognizing the nature of an end user. So this is my trait 2 that I would like to highlight. The trait 3 is, I would say, the continuation of trait 2. It's about empathy and gratitude. This can be like highlighted to different characters that we work day in and out. But I here today would like to highlight 3 important characters we often interact. That is the user, teammates, and our future testers. Empathy itself is defined as it's the ability to feel or understand rather the feeling of others. So when I talk about empathy for user, I would like to highlight here with an example. Let's say you have an application which is like allows you to book order a book. Being a user, his goal is not just to order the book. So being a tester, your goal should also be the same. You should not just check whether your application is able to handle or able to just order the book. You have to think beyond that. What you should think, how happy is your user interacting with your application, how engaged he is with this application, how secure he feels using this application. Those are the empathy that you have to tie up with the user. When it comes to empathy for teammates, teamwork and empathy go hand in hand. Strong relationships can be built only on the foundation of understanding and reacting without passing any judgment. There can be scenarios where your teammate may be down. It could be his bad day. He has some backfires from manager or your test lead. So, you as a teammate, how would you show your empathy to him? Put yourself in that particular teammate scenario. What would you expect in that area? What would you expect is emotional empathy there. Try to communicate in an empathy filled manner. Try to support him This can lead to or lend to an helping hand, wherein a teamwork comes in play and you can get an fruitful end result. Talking about empathy for future users or future testers, sorry. When I talk about future testers, I can relate it. Let's say a new tester is coming into your team who is very new to the system, and there can be scenarios where a new tester is well experienced. How you can show empathy in that area? Being a tester, if he's a fresher, he's coming and looking into the scripts or the repository that you have in hand to play around. If it's complex to end, he will not be in a good shape to understand the application. So make it simple. When he is an experienced guy, although technically he knows the stuff, but how about the documents that direct him to know the flow of the application? Documentation can form a helping hand, or rather, an empathy filled kindness that you can show to the future testers. In relation to that, my fourth trait would be about communication. I hear this phrase often from many people that if I ask him, if you have to explain communication skill, how would you define it? People often just give me a statement that it's the ability to, effectively communicate verbally and in written format. But to me, I would just put it in two terms: working with people, adapting to your audience. When I say working with people, I personally have encountered this. In my initial journey of software testing, I was a very stubborn and abrasive natured person, wherein whenever I find a bug, I was very stubborn that whatever I'm doing was right. But this gradually had shown me that I was wrong at a point of time. So think about that scenario where you have a bug, but it is not reproducible and your developer rejects it. Think about a scenario where that bug isn't a bug at all. Think about a scenario where that bug is of very low priority. In that scenario, what would you do? Would you raise your voice by just saying that whatever you found out needs to be fixed? The thing here is about communication. You should be an effective communicator here by letting your peers know why you strongly say that it is a bug. You should have that convincing mentor in the way you communicate to your peers, adapting to your audience. There can be scenarios where you need to communicate to a single resource. It could be a developer to explain your bug. It could be your fellow teammates, where it could be an internal presentation that you're giving on the task that you're working, or it could be any cross skill training that you're doing to your colleagues who have not heard about, or who doesn't know much about testing. These are different scenarios that you face. So how would you tackle that? You need to adapt to your audience. Adapt to your audience in the sense you have to adapt in your body language, in your voice tone, in the way you explain the scenario to your fellow audience. That's about communication. My final trait would be about learn to say yes and no. The trick here is when to say yes and how to say no. When I say when to say yes, I would like to highlight here is like it can be inbuilt it only when you are an effective planner. If you know how to prioritize your work, how to organize your work, how you have to tackle or the timelines that is given to you, only then you will be in a good shape to say when to say yes. If a new assignment is given to you with the assignment that is already going on, how would you say yes? Only when you are an effective planner you would be able to answer it in a better manner. The next thing is about how to say no. You should learn how to say no. Often people think that saying no is a very bad habit, but ideally, it's not a bad habit. We are humans, we are not superheroes. We often get stressed, we often get overloaded. It's always okay to say no. No is actually a positive tool. If you're overloaded, try to ask questions within yourself. Is it okay to postpone it? Or is it that I need to do it right away? Or is it that I can eliminate this at this particular point of time? It all depends on that to take your decision and tackle that scenario. The only person that you need to say yes is to you. So I would like to sum up my talk today that we humans are not born as testers. Testing is not simple, it's not memorizing set of steps. Testing is a deep and challenging field. What is all needed is a good mindset, how you can nurture it and develop it within yourself. Thank you so much for this opportunity and feel free to connect with me on my LinkedIn and Twitter to talk more about this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jency. This was an excellent talk. It's one of those where you actually start thinking about how you're doing it within your team, especially empathy, especially saying the word no rather than bringing too much within your teams and
Right.
not having the time to deliver. So it was super, super insightful. Now
Thank you.
it's over to the judges to give you the feedback.
Sure.
Okay, who's going first?
We'll start with you, Ajay.
Okay. Jency, thank you very much for the talk, and
Thank you.
I'll keep it very short.
Mm.
See, there is a saying that you need to tell people that you're going to tell something. You need to tell people what you're going to tell, then tell it, and then at the end, tell what you have told them. Like,
Okay.
tell
Mm.
them
Mm.
that I'm going to speak on A, B, C, then
Mhm.
tell the A, B, C, and then at
Mm.
the end again say that, hey, you know what? Now we discussed about A, B, C. Yeah.
Mm.
So
Mm.
each
Mm.
of your slides
Mhm.
is powerful enough.
Mm.
At the same
Mm.
time, you
Mm.
could have linked each of those slides. Maybe a
Okay.
simple,
Mm.
think of it like a semicircle
Mm.
with like
Mm.
points for each of those 5 traits or 6 traits, right?
Right.
uh,
Right.
and then using contrast shading to
Mm.
highlight the
Mm.
specific point that you are highlighting, but at the same
Yes.
time the audience is not left thinking, oh, we are at the fourth point, what did
Mm.
she say at the first point? They don't need to remember, they can always see the slide, it is there,
True.
right?
Mm.
So that
Mm.
way they are
Mm.
able to relate. That is one.
Okay.
Some here and there minor grammatical corrections could be done, and
Okay. Okay.
modulation, voice modulation is something that you can definitely uh, think about,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Otherwise, the choice of topic and then the
Mhm.
explanation for each of those points is very
Mhm.
good, right?
Okay. Thank
And
you.
if you notice, for the last 10 seconds, maybe I'm
Mhm.
trying my best to look at the camera, uh,
Okay. Okay.
which is also very important. Or
Yes.
else I
Okay.
could go
Mm.
like I could keep doing this and not look at the camera, but
Mm.
camera is
Mm.
where the audience is looking at you, right?
Right.
So
Right.
uh,
Right. Mm.
a simple trick is
Mm.
to paste something near the camera
Mm.
and which
Mm.
says look here, so that
Okay. Okay.
your
Mm.
focus
Mm.
is
Mm.
on the camera.
Right.
Right.
Right. Mm. I'll
Good.
improvise on that. Yep.
Right.
Yep. Sure.
Okay, all the best and thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, Ajay.
Over to you, Lena.
Just let me start with saying I really loved listening to you. You had a calmness and a sureness that made you. I think, regardless of what you were saying, I would trust what you were saying because it sounded like this was something you knew from deep within. When it comes to like uh, the tempo of the slides,
Mm.
I think you tried to push too much into the slot. You could
Mhm.
you could remove half of it and still have a very strong topic. And
Mm. Mm.
also, what I was missing was a longer pause between the different, like number one, number two, number three, number four, number five. They kind of flowed very nicely into each other, but a slight pause in between them would have been really nice.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Mm.
but I would love to listen to you more because I really enjoyed how you interacted with the camera and how you spoke. And it's an interesting topic that I think is always important. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Lena. Thank you.
Over
Okay,
to Lalit.
cool. So I agree with what Ajay and Lena said, particularly also with Lena on the topic of the content is very powerful, and literally just one of the topic can become a talk in itself.
Yes.
I love the depth, or rather the choice of the things or
Mhm.
the points you mention in your talk, because most of these things are usually taken for granted, or people just
Right.
assume that
Mm,
they
mm,
are well known, and but it is not. um, I like that you use the quotes
mhm.
or the sentences like software is guilty until proven innocent and things like
Yeah.
that, which basically communicates your message in a
Mm,
very crisp choice of words, which I admire. And
yeah.
throughout your talk, I noticed you were not just saying something which you recited and mugged up,
Mm,
but it was very reflecting that you knew what you were talking about. So it all comes with your own experience and your own understanding. And also, I realize that you are not saying these things because these are best practices or somebody says these are good things, but your conviction
mhm.
that you really believe in this is what you are saying, which is most important thing for me when I see people talking. If you're
Mm,
selling something, you need to be first sold on it. Uh,
right.
on the creativity side, I felt the same background, for example, or similar font,
Mhm,
or
mhm,
not the font, but the colors kind of
mhm.
made the flow of the presentation a bit monotonous. And maybe if you
Okay.
could use different pictures or
Mm,
graphics
mm,
for each
mm, mm,
point,
mm.
it
Right.
makes it
Mm,
easy for people to mentally do the mapping of different topics that you're covering. It felt
yeah.
like you were talking different things, but the
Mm,
screen was basically still the same. So
right.
that
Right. I get you. Mm,
I suggest you could do some creative stuff. But all in all, I really liked, and could be this can become eventually a very good keynote topic.
yeah.
It has a
Thanks.
substance
Thanks,
to it
Nithin. Yeah. Thank you so much.
also.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, judges. And once again, Jency, I must say, and what you got from Lalit just now, a keynote talk, that is a big statement.
It
So,
is. It is.
congratulations. And
Yeah.
again, Super Voice is about new voices. So you made it till here. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
And out of 9 people, you're one of the people from it. So
Yeah.
claps from me. Well done.
Thank
And
you.
keep that confidence and fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Thanks. Thanks.
Okay, so on to our next speaker and my friend. Geosley is here. So he is a product evangelist and he's had 15 years of experience in the software testing world. Geosley's hobby, or shall I say interest, is to unite the testing community, which again, that is big hats off from my opinion. And he is a agile leader. He's certified as an agile leader. He's certified as a scrum master, and he's also a speaker at many events. And we have crossed paths there as well. So welcome on the stage, Geosley. How are you feeling?
Thank you so much, Laveena. Can you hear me well?
Yes, perfectly well.
Yeah, it's exciting to be here on this unique reality show, and it's great to participate and get real time feedback. This will be something really new for me to get real time feedback on my talk. So I'm super excited and looking forward to it.
Awesome. That's what we like to hear. So the stage is over to you. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
So, respected judges and fellow listeners, before I start into my topic, I'd like to start with the story of a tester. This tester loved his 9 to 6 job. He was an introvert, not active on social media. He did not know anyone outside of his company, had the stage fear, thought the best thing to do as a tester was test automation, did not take up projects involving anything but test automation, felt he had reached the saturation point of his learning curve. My dear friends, this is the story of none other than me. I'm Jocelyn Andrades, tester by heart and driven by community. And this is my talk. Dream it, do it, create the magic in your testing career. Technology is fast paced, and it is important for us as testers to realize that we need to stay relevant. Everyone has a story to tell, and there is a lot to learn from each of us. So, here are my lessons and learnings from some of Disney's popular characters. I'd like to dedicate this talk to Walt Disney 1901 1966. The first character is Mickey Mouse. To laugh at yourself is to love yourself. Your competition is yourself. Accept yourself. Be optimistic and committed to your goals. Take baby steps into achieving your goals. And most importantly, be consistent. A Google search of your name should define your identity. According to Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, your brand is what other people say about you when you are not in the room. Look at ways to bring the best out of yourself. Work on creating your online portfolio. Share your stories, share your opinions. This is my Twitter history way back in 2011 when I used to not share. I was an introvert. But soon that I realized that sharing knowledge, listening to others, getting their opinions is definitely going to be real worth it. So maybe your first blog or tweet, no one may like it, no one may appreciate it, but eventually with each passing day, you'll get better. The next character, Nemo. Fishes aren't meant to be in the box, kid. It does things to them. There is a bundle of knowledge out there. Jump out of the well. Don't be afraid to take the first step. Strive for continuous learning. Keep questioning and keep reasoning. Testing is a real vast space. There are a lot of skills out there, be it bug advocacy, be it note taking, be it test planning, modeling coverage, exploratory testing, logical testing, box testing, creating tools, automated checking, security testing, learning about design patterns, learning about domain knowledge, learning about business understanding. Try all of these skills. Here are some of my favorite tests. As they say, the more you read, the more things you will know, and the more you learn, the more places you will go. So read these wonderful books, and this have made a real impact on my testing career. Lessons learned in software testing by James Park, Kim Kenner, Experiences of Test Automation by Todd Graham, Agile Testing Condensed by Janet Gagry, Risa Crispin, Clean Code by Robert Martin, Explore It by Elizabeth Hendrickson, and Perfect Software and Other Illusions by Gerald Weinberg. The next character is Peter Pan. And even though you want to, just try to never grow up. When you think like your kid, your imagination is free and anything is possible. Learn as if you were to explain it to a 5-year-old. There are tons and tons of testing resources out there. As I would advise, never stop learning because life never stops teaching. Always be a good student of the testing craft. My advice would be to never be overconfident. In my personal experience, I learned mobile test automation from a tester who was junior to me, which is perfectly okay. So learn and explore your passion. Try to harness your energy in the right direction. So if you're interested in test automation, refer to the Test Automation University. There are tons and tons of challenges out there, like 100 days of code, 100 days of no code. So identify your interest. Now, learn a topic until you are fully content you have done justice. As they say, Jack of all trades is a master of none. So, select a testing area you are passionate about. It could be performance testing, it could be security testing, and try to master it. In my own experience, I was truly fascinated by the area of cloud testing and agile. So, this is where I put my total focus on. The next character, Cinderella. If you keep on believing, the dream that you wish will come true. So, we all know success does not come easily. You need to put in a lot of hard work, effort, and dedication. So, dream big, be determined, and persevere. Analyze the situation and make the right choice. Time is very precious, and you need to use your time real judiciously. Like everyone, I had a dream. I had a dream to get cloud certified. So, what people normally see is the fancy badge that you get at the end of it all. But what gets into this? The countless hours of studying, doing hands on, the practice tests, sacrificing your weekends, sticking to a proper schedule, keeping focused on your objective. So, my advice to testers will be never give up. you will definitely reach on the peak of the iceberg. The next one is Bagheera. If you can't learn to run with a pack, one of these days you'll be someone's dinner. Not everyone is perfect. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. So learn from your failures and mistakes. Learn the art of problem solving. As Sir Gerald Weinberg said, all problems are people's problem. Use popular problem solving techniques like De Bono's six hat, thinking hats technique, the W5H. As testers, you're asked to ask these five questions: who, what, when, where, how, even when you're gathering any sort of information. The financial crisis of 2008 and the Great Recession was when I started my career as a tester. Now, projects were scarce at that time, and managers preferred testers with experience. Believe me or not, I spent almost 1.5 year of my career staying on bench. Now, that did not disappoint me. I took the challenge to build an automation framework from scratch, and that's where I got my first project. Within 2 years, I was architecting a lot of good automation frameworks for the top clients in the industry, and one of that client was Walt Disney. The next character is Buzz Lightyear. The important thing is that we stick together. Look to have a set of close friends who will always push you and want you to succeed. Look to flush non working ideas. It's important to have your personal board of directors who guide you in selecting the correct learning path and exchanging best practices. Now, TestFix, a global software testing bench, came out of a WhatsApp conversation where we decided as friends to help the testing community unite together into one big conference. Now, this conference got to reality in just 2 months. Now, this stands a real success for me that nothing is impossible if you have the backing of the right people with you. The next character, Lightning McQueen. Don't fear failure, never fear never getting the chance to try. Don't wait till the end day. Periodically do a retrospective. If in doubt, seek help. Look to activate all your senses to bring the best out of you. If you don't have the target to aim for, you're going to miss it anyways. So follow the 30-90, 60-90 feedback principle, where you are trying to get feedback once your task is 30% complete, 60% complete, and 90% complete, rather than waiting till the end. Like everyone, I do and did have a dream to speak at conferences. Now, I started small. I started talking in my office. Then I started presenting at meetups. And eventually, the day came when I could actually speak at a conference. Now, many of us would have similar dreams of being a speaker. Like, but how many of us actually submitted our auditions for Super Voice? So, this is a question that you need to ask yourself. The next character is Simba. Oh, yes, the past can hurt, but the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it. Adapt to the situation. Your testing journey is not going to be always smooth. There are going to be always ups and downs in your life. So enjoy the good times and dare to go to the bad ones. Like Simba, be a true king. Give back to the community what the community has given to you. So coach and guide future leaders. Now, like every fresher, I too had a dream. I too had a dream of going on site. I worked hard to get my first visa and work permit. But what happened the day before I could go on site, I got an announcement that that assignment was cancelled. Now, I didn't get disappointed. I just grew stronger. I worked hard on my skills, and within less than a year, I had done half a dozen of on site trips, and I'm really fortunate about that. Winnie the Pooh. You can't stay in the corner of the forest waiting for others to come to you. You must go to them sometimes. Ask yourself this question: how many testers do you know outside your organization? Are you really friends with developers, architects, and project owners? If you cannot see where you're going, ask someone who has already been there. Learn from experts in the fields. I've learned a lot from some of these top experts in the testing industry on the real essence of testing. The likes of James Park, Ajay, Pradeep, Michael Bolton, who have shared a lot of their learnings for me to realize the real essence of testing is. One thing I regret today not knowing in my earlier days is how beautiful the art of testing actually is. Today I can proudly say I am a great tester. Join a lot of amazing testing communities out there: the Test Drive, the Ministry of Testing, Test Chat, Synapse QA, Test Masters Academy, Q Community. They're all there to help you collaborate, learn, and grow with them. Join testing hackathons, participate in meetups, conferences. As they rightly say, network is your net worth. So be there and share your learnings and collaborate and learn from others. The last character is Tarzan. It is you who will climb the mountain and it is you who will reach the peak. So it's very important for you to trust in yourself. Challenge your limits. At times, it is always good to reset. Now, don't be afraid to learn new tools and new programming languages. Like you and like many others in this testing fraternity, I too had this tools and language dilemma. Across the years of my testing career, I have dealt and worked with a lot of tools, a lot of programming languages. What you need to know that a fool with a tool is still a fool. So you need to know which tool best suits your context. A tool like JMeter might be good for performance testing, but a burp suit might be preferred to do security testing. So don't be afraid and make sure you are making sure your foundation and fundamentals are really strong. Learn the concepts of object oriented programming. Learn the concepts of how you can perform real testing and how tools can assist you. So make sure that you fly out of your comfort zone. So all your dreams can come true if you have the courage to pursue them. It is important for you to love your job. It is important for you to believe in your profession. This will give you the passion to strive even better. The power is in your hands to control where destiny will take you. Remember, it's always impossible until it's done. So, like the phoenix, rise again as a stronger and a wiser version of yourself. Wishing you all the success to create the magic in your testing career and excel beyond. I'm Geosley Andrades, and this is my story. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Who doesn't love Disney? Oh my God, the analogies is so good. Excellent. And of course, you've given us a very, very insightful talk and the importance around tooling and whatnot. So it's really, really good. And I'm going to hand it over to the judges now. So let's start with Lalit. What did you think about Josley's presentation?
Well, I know Geosley already and his work, so I'm a bit biased, but I would rather not sugarcoat anything, Geosley, because I'm very sure you would appreciate very honest feedback. I love the analogy you have used. There is a lot of good content. I do feel the delivery could be better. Uh, Honestly, it sounded more like a news reading to me. No offense, but I would like you to do the justice to the good content you have by complementing it with a very playful and interactive way of delivery. I don't have any critical comments on the content. It's very good. You know your topic. The examples used are very good. There is a lots of content there. I would only say uh, working on the style of delivery, making it more engaging and memorable would be the right justice to the good stuff you have put together.
Thank you so much.
Over to Ajay.
Right, my dear friend Josley. Uh, I wish those characters were animated. I would have loved those, loved it, like, Bagheera running on the slide and then delivering that message, right? Uh, Halfway through the presentation, I forgot what the title of the talk was, because there was so much information, so many photographs, so many images, so many text quotes. Then I forgot what Then I remembered, oh, dream it, do it, right? If you so somewhere if you had used it, maybe like a tagline on every slide, or at the top right somewhere, and then if you had put that, then okay, we would have connected. Okay, look how Mickey Mouse did it, how Bagheera did it, right? So that was one. In Bagheera's slide, THIS had to be replaced with these, THESE. And of course, so much info is the only drawback. Other than that, very good presentation. As Lalit mentioned, yes, delivery, um, there is definitely a scope for improvement. You could have tried mimicking different voices, like have a strong voice, have a soft voice. You could have tried that. You could have, in that manner, captured the audience
Mhm.
uh, attention. They'd be like intently listening to you. Here it was more like, okay, you know what, this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. But overall, very good. All the best.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ajay. And over to you, Lena.
That was a fantastic introduction and an amazing outro. I wrote hooked in my notes here when you started. I was like, yes, this is going to be an amazing talk, and I think it is. I think you just I feel like I'm going to repeat myself a lot, because this is also a fault I do a lot. You try to push too much content into the time you have. And the effect of that is you don't have time to give each of the characters justice. If you want to do all of these characters, you could probably flesh it out to like 30-40 minutes. But for a talk of this time slot, you could perhaps have given 3 or 4 like proper justice, because you had so much amazing things to say, but you didn't have time to expand on it. You mentioned so many amazing things, but you just mentioned them in passing. The way you introduced the 30, 60, 90 days feedback loop, that could have been enough for the other topics as well, because you have an amazing talk here. But I think you need to expand on every part more. Yeah, but also your outro was spot on. I loved it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lena.
Awesome. Thank you so much, judges. And once again, claps, Geosley, to you. I really love all the colorful stuff. It really attracts me when understanding something. So well done on this stage. So that's another kind of milestone ticked off for you. And of course, congratulations for being one of the 9 peoples on this stage as well. So thank you so, so much. And good luck with everything again. Fingers crossed. And we shall see you soon. Next contestant is Raman. Hi, Raman.
Hi,
Hello.
Laveena.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Awesome. Yes, yes. So Raman is a QA analyst with 16 years of experience within the testing remit and has experience in multiple domains. So Raman, tell us a bit more about you, because I'm meeting you for the first time and your
Yes.
intro was short. So tell me more.
Well, I have been, like you mentioned, like it's almost been around 16 years working in the software testing industry. So, worked on multiple domain, as usually that is the path of any QA tester. He used to get a chance to work on various domain during his career. So apart from that, I have been writing articles, like trying to be like a writer, but yeah, still growing up. And this is how I came across Nithin and the QA Synapses when he gave me a chance to present one of my article over there. That is one of the passion which I still try to keep up. Hoping someday I'll be standing on a podium like our Lalit, creating a mass of people standing in front of me and presenting myself.
Awesome. Yes, of course. It's always lovely to kind of look forward and see yourself in something and learn from examples in the
Right.
community out there. So, absolutely right kind of message that you've shared there. And I hope for all the new super voices as well, this was kind of insightful to them as well. So, thank you
Sure.
very much, Raman. And now I hand over the stage to you and good luck.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks,
feel free
Laveena.
to share your screen.
Sure. Okay. So, hi, all judges. Thank you so much for giving me this chance of presenting myself here in this wide arena and this super voice contest. So, the topic of my discussion and presentation would be QA, the Thor. Well, those who are a fan of Marvel could very well relate the character of a Thor, and but for others, it's a comic character created by Marvel. And the beauty of this character is like it carries a hammer and wearing a suit and other stuff, so that he could save the world and he could also kill his enemies and a lot of other stuff. So there's another character that is the Ragnarok. So which I portray myself as Ragnarok. So I'll be giving you a walkthrough of the QA and what is happening and the daily challenges, what all there by presenting a small story in the form of a Marvel character called the Thor. So I hope you must be a little excited with this comic theory. So let's begin. As everybody is aware, like in IT industry, QA is the only person who could save the code of a developer to make it bug free. So he has a lot more on his shoulders when it comes to giving his best to the code, to the developer. So according to me, QA is the person who could actually save a company with the blunders he could make by not making his software tested in a very good way. You must have heard or you must have read somewhere about the various example where company has lost millions or trillions of dollars because the software not tested properly. So let's begin this journey and hear it from the Ragnarok, that is me, who will be giving you a walkthrough of this character, like what he does and what he's doing on day-to-day basis. So, like every day, we get up in the morning and we pray to the God or the Lord, and we say, like, please give us a good health and happy life, and make our life full of happiness. And we should begin our day like this, right? But for a QA, the prayer is a little different here. So whenever a QA he gets up in the morning and he always pray to the Lord, like, oh Lord, the code which I have tested for my developer, please make it bug free so that it could very well easily go to the deployment without any issue. And at the end, he should not be getting any further issues and getting himself in a situation where he need to explain it to everybody, like why it was missed, what was the reason, and give providing the root cause and drilling all those environmental issues. So that is how the prayer of a QA tester or a QA engineer that goes in the morning. Let's move on to the next slide. So QA the Thor is not the only person who is available, right? So it's being surrounded by many other people because there are so many characters created by Marvel, right? So let's see how he keeps himself busy or how others make him busy. So let's start from the requirement analysis. I'll try to portray it in the form of a software testing life cycle, or maybe a better way, like how his life is being, like how he keep himself busy, starting from the requirement analysis till the product or the software goes into the production. Let's say during the requirement analysis, we have the BRD or the functional document or whatever you would like to call. The requirement is given in the form of a document and given it to the QA people. So QA has to do a lot of research on that the document so that he could bring out the best out of the document. He has to do a lot of back and forth with the document. He need to have his queries resolved because that is the base document which based on the document he will be preparing his scenarios and moving it forward. So coming to the test planning part, in the test planning he will be having the scenarios which are being created based on the requirement which are being finalized. So after creating all the scenarios he will be having those scenarios reviewed by the peers, and after that he will have another round of review so that he could have those test cases come out of those scenarios which he could present to the team or which he could distribute among the team so that they could come out with the beautiful and detailed steps how to validate those requirements. So once the test cases are ready, you could see like how the test cases need to be before it goes into any of the tool which you have thought to write down the test cases for. So the test cases need to be properly thoroughly reviewed. So there will be a peer review which is happening and there will be an external review. So the reason of my detailed explanation here is how the each phase of testing is keeping the Thor busy in his day-to-day task. So he's involved in the requirement analysis and he's actively involved in the test planning where he has to do a lot of documentation. He has to make the test plan document. He has to make sure that everything is in scope, what he is testing, what he is writing is up to the mark before he get it into the tool. So this is how the people surrounding him, I would like to call him the BA, the project manager, or the developer, or whosoever is involved. If you are following an agile methodology, or you are using any form of methodology, there are other people which are surrounded, right? So all those people will always keep QA, the thought, busy every time, right? So now come the final part, getting ready for the execution. So it's the responsibility of a QA to make sure, like before you start with the execution, he has all the equipments, all the tools, and everything in the environment. Everything should be ready beforehand before he could start with his execution or before he could start the war of his test cases. And so in order to do that, he need to have everything being listed prior to that. So for QA, it's always a time bound thing. So he doesn't have a choice or he doesn't have that much input or like information that is being available so that he could also share those information among the team. So he has to be always on toes. He has to be proactive so that he could have all those information beforehand. He should have everything ready. The environment should be ready. The test data should be ready. The credentials should be ready. So he has to be always proactive before the execution gets started. So this is how I'm trying to portray in the former character. Like the Thor character is getting ready for the execution. He's getting all his equipment before he could land up in a war. So this is the best part, and this is the lovely part where every QA tester or a QA analyst would look around and find defects. So everybody loves to find defects. So defect finding is not a very complex or very difficult task here. The only difficult task here is how to find the missing defect. At times you land up in a situation where you have defects coming up which are not reproducible. So that is a very challenging situation for a QA. Like he has to do a lot of back and forth. He has to have the detailed steps ready. he need to have another session with the developer. It's easy for developer to say, hey, the defect is not reproducible, so I'm rejecting that defect. It's working fine for me. So QA has to go back, he has to create a new test data, he has to do everything to convince a developer or the manager or the lead to make sure like this is actually a defect. And sometimes when you are setting up a meeting and you are explaining your defect, it's actually a defect for you, but when the developer is checking the same thing using the same steps in his own environment, that is working fine. So you need to have those kind of a thorough evidences, thorough things which should make your defect actual foolproof, so that you could say, hey, this is the environment which is causing the defect. It's actually not a defect which is there in your end, but it's actually a defect in my environment. So this is an environmental defect. So this is how you could convince. This is just one of the example I am portraying here. So there are many instances which is happening where you come across such situation. Sometimes it's to put us so much effort in right thing, and the end of the something next release, or we making it go to the next thing. So this is how we run day to day, which is keeping a QA the Thor busy every day. And finally, what happens is, I hope nobody want to be in this situation, which I am showing it on the screen now. Usually, after every release or after every sprint planning or like whatever methodology you're working on, you always feel tired, right? Like you have spent a lot of effort, you have spent a lot of energy, and you, at the end of the release, you see yourself like, oh, I'm really very tired. But after working through all those phases of the life cycle, like I have touched and I have interacted with a lot of people during my this phase. I have been to BA, I have been to manager, I need to give an explanation to my lead. I need to have a good explanation for the development. I need to make sure whatever I'm doing is delivered on time. Everything should be documented, and the defect analysis report should be there. So everything is lying on a QA's shoulder now. So you could see the character which I have shown you at the starting, how energetic he was, how and how powerful he was. He was getting geared up, he's getting his energy. But now what you see, like what has happened at the end? He's being tired and he's being hurted. So let's see what's missing here. So the picture here describes the missing part. After every release or after every sprint, we need to have some sort of celebration or some kind of a recognition which is being given to every person who is directly or indirectly involved with the project. So QA being spending a lot of effort and lot of energy on the project. He in IT world we never get any relief, right? So once a project is over, you don't have a day or two to start another project. It's on the same day. The planning is already done, or it's starting on the next day. So we always go uh, in a retrospective manner. We are proactive. We know the timeline. Like this project is going to end on this date. So let's have the next project ready, because we have our QA people who are always there to help the team. So some sort of celebration, some sort of recognition, which is actually required by a QA to make himself come back to the same footsteps which he was doing it earlier. So I believe that is the missing part in some of the scenarios. Maybe I'm not sure about all the organization, but usually what I have seen is it's always an ongoing trend. You always land up in that cycle where you start from the requirement analysis, you end up with the delivery, with the QA delivery, the UAT part, and you always have that fear like you miss something, then you need to go back to your own books. You need to make sure like, hey, we tested it right. So with all those uh, hiccups, all those frustration and whatever is there, at the end, you need to celebrate that like you have come across all those things and you have delivered a good product. So he should have a smile on his face, right? So who's controlling me? As you
Hi,
know,
Raman.
like,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Hi, Raman. I'm really sorry, but we have to hard stop you now. It was a
Okay.
15-minute session, so I'm very
Okay.
sorry. Uh,
Okay, that's fine.
Unfortunately, this has to stop here, but I would like to say good kind of analogy with the Marvel superheroes. I love Thor. I've watched the recent one very recently as well, so really enjoyed that aspect. Just a little kind of a nice feedback to give you as well. Like, say, for example, if the slides, if the timing is about 15 minutes, maybe put down the slide only 15 slides or less, because then you can spend a minute on each. That's something
Okay.
I use, and that's something that's brought success to me in many sort of presentations at work as well as the community. So that definitely helps a lot. But otherwise, it was really good. I'm loving this analogies. We've just had Disney, we've just had Marvel. So I'm really intrigued to see what's next. But thank you very much. And now I invite all the judges to come on stage and give you their feedback actually. So let's start from Lena first.
Hi, Raman.
Yeah, hi.
Thank you for the presentation. I think when it comes to your speaking style, you need to bring more energy. You need to convince me as a listener that you are passionate about the things you're talking about, and that didn't come through. Some tips there could be standing up when you're talking, or having a little Lego figure at the camera that you're speaking to or something, because it felt a bit like you weren't interacting with the audience at all, which is really hard when it's virtual and you can't see us, but it needs more energy.
Okay. Actually, it's
And of
5:30 a.m.
course,
in the
like,
morning.
sorry?
It's 5:30 a.m. in the morning in my
Yeah,
time.
I'm sorry about that. I'm also not sure what the message in your talk was. I tried to understand the connection between the theme you chose and the message you were trying to tell us, and I'm struggling with it. So I think you could work on making it more clear what it is you want to say with each slide. Yeah, but thank you very much.
Sure. Thanks.
Let's go with Ajay next.
Hi, Raman.
Yeah, hi, Ajay.
Thank you for the talk early morning. And yes, your Thor was smiling, but you were not smiling. You know, if you had just smiled, that would have solved half of your problems with speaking. I can understand 5:30 a.m. difficult, but then yeah, that's how life is. Stage time is your show time, so show some energy. And other than that, I am not a fan of, I don't know, Marvel or DC or whatever, so I couldn't relate to it much, so I don't have much feedback. Yeah, thank you.
And over to you,
Raman,
Lalit.
I'm actually confused, feeling a bit conflicted for two reasons. So I completely agree with this energy, uh, or your presence. Basically, you need to really be there and show the audience that you're delivering, you are into it. At the same time, what I found comforting for myself as an audience was you are just being yourself. You are not faking anything. Your energy or your persona that you have assumed during this talk is natural. It sounded more like a coffee chat with a friend. But when we talk about delivering things on the stage or in a conference setup, it probably wouldn't work. So I hate to suggest this, but maybe try to assume some persona when you're delivering a talk. Like try to be a speaker. I'm not sure if I'm able to really helping here, but definitely on delivery side, I would try to make it look more like a talk and less like a conversation. But I really love the satire that you have used and the comic way of presenting the everyday struggle of a tester. I would have loved to reach till end of the talk to understand the final message, or if you had any suggestions for changing the story and making the Thor happily live forever. But all in all, content is good. I admire the efforts and the creativity that you have tried to put in. But see, maybe take watch some videos perhaps of people delivering the talk, the body language, or what kind of uh, delivery style suits most to your personality, so to speak, and try experimenting with it. But all in
Sure.
all, good effort. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you so much, judges. And again, Raman, it's okay. I think hats off to you for actually accepting the 5 a.m. slot. I
That's
wouldn't
all.
wake up at that time. But well done. And again, I would like to give you congratulations because of being part of one of the 9 super voice speakers. So thank you so much. So on to our next speaker and the last one for today. His name is Rahul. So I'd like to invite Rahul on the stage and then give his intro.
Hi,
Hi, Rahul. How are you?
doing good.
Awesome. So Rahul is a software tester and generalist. He works as a senior software engineer. His hobbies are reading, learning, practicing the craft of software testing, and he has been the finalist for the Jerry Weinberg Testing Excellence Award at the Rising Star of the Year. Am I right, Rahul?
Yes, I won the Jerry Weinberg Excellence Award, which is the
Okay, you won that one and the finalist for the Rising Star. Awesome. Thank you. So, how are you feeling?
feeling good, feeling
Awesome.
excited.
That's what we want to hear.
And
Yes.
yes,
Excellent. So, over to you, Rahul. The stage is yours and your 15 minutes start now. We can see your screen as well.
thank you for the feedback. So, hello everyone, respected judges. Greetings of the day to everyone who's listening into this talk. Before I start, I want to thank Synapse QA for this wonderful opportunity and giving us this platform called Voice, where we can carve out a better speaker out of ourselves. Today, I would be talking about, as a tester, how to unblock yourself. A very quick introduction about myself. I'm Rahul Parwal. I'm a senior software engineer working with IFM Engineering in India. I'm a software tester who loves to deep dive into the nuances and intricacies of software testing and the craft of software testing. If I talk about my journey with software testing, it has been quite interesting with its own twists, turns, and not to forget the blockers as well. I've learned some important lessons in this process of growth and journey, and also while overcoming these blockers. I started my career as a software development engineer, followed by a role in automation scripting, and from 2020, now I'm into full time software testing. And I have been active with the software testing communities, and something that I have learned or seen through these communities is that a lot of times testers deal with negative comments, criticism, fear of losing job, or getting stuck with some kind of work that they are doing. And sometimes the blocker are because of some kind of a social issue or a learning issue. For other times it could be some kind of an implementation issue. So these are some of the instances that I have shared, but there is definitely more to it. And the idea is that today I will navigate you through some of the simple yet effective strategies from my own experience to keep one on track and be mind free from such blockers. So I'll start with the first strategy, that is seek help or ask for help. So nobody knows it all. Being somebody who works in the knowledge industry, it's very important that we develop knowledge support groups or knowledge frameworks for ourselves. We create groups where we can exchange knowledge, ask people about things, and get our queries resolved. Another interesting place for such things is the testing fraternity, that you can join through testing communities, use their social media platforms and forums to ask questions. And believe me, from my personal experience, I mean, you will be pleasantly surprised by the number of helping hands that you will instantly receive once you ask questions, once you seek out for help. Another interesting place is social media. So if you use the social media, the popular hashtags, for example hashtag testing, you can again post your question to millions of testers that are out there, and the world will be open to collaborate with you to help you move forward. You can also search or seek out information through Google, blogs, GitHub, and there are a wide range of possibilities. Second is critical thinking. And as a tester, critical thinking is indeed a panacea and can eliminate even the strongest of the blockers, be it of any type. As testers, we are encouraged to ask questions to our stakeholders, but it is also important to ask questions to ourselves, or to the people around us who are feeling blocked. So, I want to talk about this 3 question framework that I learned from James Bach on critical thinking, that how you can break down issues by asking 3 questions, that is, huh, really, and so when you question situations with huh, you try to make sense that is it really the situation, am I thinking correct, is this problem actually happening. When you ask really, you want to be sure that is it really a problem, or am I overthinking, am I really sure about it. And so means, when you ask so, you ask that so what, now I am in a problem, or now I am in a specific situation, I am blocked. Now what are the way forward from it, what are the consequences, what are the various possibilities that are available now. And these questions help you to get a clear perspective and help you move out of your current situation. The third point is diverting your mind by doing something else temporarily. So a lot of times when we are stuck in problems, or when we get hanged in blockers, we are in a kind of a emotional charge up, we are in a kind of a state where it's hard to move ahead. And the important point is to do something else, because if you change nothing, nothing will eventually change. So whenever you plan for some tasks, also plan for some disposable time that you can use to relax, replenish, and recharge yourself. And you can use it to do any kind of activity that you like to do. Maybe it could be a walk or doodling, listening to music. So in essence, I mean, use the principle of alteration, alternate between things, try to do something else to gain back energy and focus, and bounce back with more power. And for fun and for rejuvenation, games are also a great source, which I have personally tried. And this list of games at bit.ly testers playground contains a lot of games that testers can play solo or with their team during offices also. I mean, and these are short games, 5 minute, 10 minutes. Use them to rejuvenate yourself and bounce back on the problems. So that's the point number 3. Next point is more on the lines of issues that people get through learning or while learning. And they often get stuck with some kind of a learning source or learning strategy. And it's very important that as a professional who's working in a field where you have to learn almost every day, and you have to learn the depth and breadth of things, it's very important that we understand what our learning source or style is. And today, I mean, there are a lot of sources available, there are a lot of different styles that are available for learning, and it's important that we synchronize our learning source to our learning style. So I mean, some people like to learn through podcast or YouTube videos, while others like to learn through books, workshops, in person tutorials. So I mean, this list is growing on. There are more mediums that are getting created. So the list is growing, but we need to identify what works for us. And a golden kind of a rule that I particularly use on a day-to-day basis is the rule of three by Jerry Weinberg, which says that if you don't know at least three ways of solving a problem or doing anything, most probably you have not thought enough. And if you are just doing one thing which you just found, it's most likely that it's something that you found and you just started it, and maybe it's not even a method or a mode that synchronizes with you. So look for at least three possibilities. Don't rely on one mode or one method. Know at least three different learning sources and go ahead with that. So the next point is learn from experts. And experts are people from industry who evolved through various stages of their professional experience and have usually dealt with some challenges. They know the challenges from the context of other people, and they have idea, tips and tricks on how somebody can dissect and solve them and move ahead. So learn from experts. Now if you want to learn from experts, what's the first step? Knowing the experts. So how would somebody know the experts? By participating in meetups, e-conferences, workshops, tutorials, uh, any kind of network opportunity basically that helps you talk to the network experts. I have personally learned a lot from the experts of our field. I've asked them question, and I've got answers to them. I've got pointers to places where I should look for answers, and that has been a helping starting stone or a starting field stone. So look for them. I mean, know the experts in your field or in the topic that you are learning. And all in all, I mean, for testers, the very powerful thing is that testing community is friendly. Most experts will respond to you, or they'll move you or redirect you to some appropriate source. And an important tip is that your first message should not be asking for help. So this is something that I learned from Anuj magazine, that most of the time where people go wrong is that they just post a message when they need a job or when they need some kind of learning or idea or guidance. But I mean, talk to people genuinely, get interested with them, strike a conversation, and I mean, then this process can get easier. The last point for today that I want to talk about is redefine failure. And a lot of people take small setbacks, failures to the heart, but failure is very contextual. I mean, and failure is also the part of the game in the learning process or in the journey. So from Testflix 2020, I attended a talk by Baba Tunde, and I learned this new acronym for fail, which is fail equal to first attempt in learning. So whenever I fail, I see it as an attempt in learning. I see it as a progress in my learning journey, and a essential part of growth. So redefine failure for yourself. And as Nelson Mandela says, that I never lose, I either win or I learn. So treat these failures as a learning stones, and I mean, don't dishearten yourself, but move forward. So all in all, I mean, I talk about 6 strategies or tips for yourself. So they were first, ask for help from people from your knowledge network. Second, use critical thinking. Really show the 3 question framework. Third is do something else temporarily. Use the principle of alternation. Fourth is change the source or look for appropriate source that can work for you. Know at least 3 source. Learn from the experts. Know them. Talk to them. Don't just send the first message asking for help. So that's a tip. And sixth is redefine failure for yourself. And all in all, I mean, everybody deals with adversity. Everybody here has dealt with adversity, no matter what they are doing in life. And the thing that separates, I mean, people, or that differentiates people, is how good and how well you can bounce back from it. So adversity is the part of game, failure is a part of game. What matters is how quickly and how well you can bounce back from it. So that's all. In the end, I would just like to thank my reviewers, Apurva, Ram, and Soumya, for reviewing these slides for me and helping me put in a better slides than what I initially drafted for. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rahul. This was so insightful and something that I can actually relate myself with as well. So it just started reminding me of scenarios at work or in the past. So it was really, really good. And to put your listeners into those kind of situations on like things that we don't think on the day-to-day task, I think it's really, really nice that you can get to your audiences in that way. So thank you very, very much. And now I hand over to the judges. Lalit, would you like to start first?
Well, you have been awarded and you have been contestant for awards for a reason, and and it kind of reflects with the entire presentation, your content, the thought you have put into in the smallest of small possible things in your presentation. I really love how you have taken care of all the things, the whole experience of your talk. The font has been playful, which made it very easy for me to digest the insightful content. I really like how you try to make it more creative by choosing light bulb, for example, as a template, and the whole presentation, the whole experience of it has been very uh, beautiful, I would say. I like how you have ready references and quotes as you talk, which basically gives an impression of how well read you are or how much you are investing in your learning, which reflects. I didn't see you making anything up or trying to remember something on the fly to continue. So I would say I would love to see you presenting on the stage so I can actually see you, your stage presence. Maybe there I will find something, hopefully, to tell you. But all in all, currently, I can't really think of something that I would like you to change or not do. I would let Lena and Ajay do the tough job.
Over to you, Lena.
Thank you so much, Rahul. I'm going to be more nitpicky with you since you are more of an experienced speaker here. But I love the way you introduced yourself without just doing a slide of here are all the things I've done. You made it an important part of the talk. So kudos to that. I really liked it. You had a great amount of content with enough time to talk about each of them. You didn't try to cram too much into it or cover too wide. There were some slides that I think were completely unnecessary. You could get rid of them and the talk would be just as good. There were some slides that felt a bit like they didn't match the rest of the presentation, just style-wise. But those are, again, they are nitpicky things, but just to take it to even better. I liked the way that you connected back with the summary in the end, and you had enough time for that. To be really, really nitpicky on the content, the fourth point, change the source, felt less coherent than the others. It was a bit scattered. It was at least three things in the same bullet point, while the others were way more coherent and crisp. But all in all, you can tell that you're an experienced speaker, and I look forward to also seeing you in real life sometime. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you, Lena.
Thank you. Over to you, Ajay.
Right. So, Rahul, be careful about sharing, quoting someone else in public without their permission. Like phone number, names are visible, their quotes are visible. They might not like it. You might get into trouble. Modulation wise, there's some work to be done. Uh, Other than that, yeah, things are good. Keep it up and all the best.
Thank you. Just one clarification. I mean, I had posted some Twitter threads of people blocked, and I actually took permission from them. I mean, through DM that I'm preparing for a talk and I want to use them for references.
Okay. So, yeah, So just a star saying with permission, so people
Okay.
don't.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you very much, judges. So thank you very much, Rahul. Definitely enjoyed your talk for a fact, and I must say, perfect timing. And it just flowed so well as well, because sometimes you know what happens. Like I put my brain into slides and it doesn't flow at all. I have to like cut it all down and make sure that it's like a little story I'm telling and I'm engaging with individuals. And of course, it's nice to kind of shout out to the names out there, because this community has so many people, and why not actually put them on the stage as well? So thank you so much. Claps and good luck with everything. Excellent day today, Super Voice 2022. So we had 5 contestants today. Just a reminder of who they were. We had Rahul, Jency, Raman. We also had, before I miss out anyone. Sorry, we had actually 4 people today, and Geosley. So thank you very much, and thank you very much, judges, and thank you so much, Nithin and Synapse QA.
Thank you.